This is round 4 of the Cornerstone tournament event that we had in Portland, Oregon at FAB Foundry. Up top is a player that came up from McMinnville, Dominic, playing a Druid deck, and bottom of the screen is local player Rob playing Sorcerer. Just a reminder for our Cornerstone event, we did opt to use second player Seer rules. It's not an official rule for alt tournaments, but some of the more competitive tournaments are opting to use it. So it allows the player going second to look at the top card from one of their libraries, spell or sites, and choose whether or not to keep it there or to send it to the bottom of that deck. It's just a way to offset the disadvantage for going second. Sorting out mulligans now. And Dominic, I think, again, is running a pretty aggressive Druid deck. I can't see his entire hand. It looked like maybe he had a Warhorse and Grim Gosarme, and he mulliganed into a Grim Gosarme mulliganed into a Vampire. Personally, Grim Gosarme is not a card I want to see in like my opening hand. I would probably pitch that to the bottom. It is like pretty situational. Like you don't really want to play it until it's going to tip your board state into a very advantageous position, just because there's a big risk with your opponent taking the Gosarme from you and then double striking you further to door. Turn 1, Rob is playing a Forge, creating Lance, passing turn. Turn 1, Dom is I think that was an Impenetrable Copse, summons Tawny, passes turn. Copse, great positioning at the home site with the Druid. Prevents things like fire bolts from getting in there. Looks like Rob played a desert and had to pass turn. He didn't have a 2-drop. Dominic, I think, drew a site for turn, so has some options for second sight. We did see that he had that Warhorse in his hand, so it is likely that we see a fire site come down. Yep, he's going to play that desert, assuming he wants that just to be able to get the fire threshold, so he can attack with the Warhorse. So sneaking 2 points in there, advancing Tawny up, passing turn. Rob tapping for a third sight, Funeral Pyre. Probably, I mean, the genesis on those, like, probably no help in these matchups. Again, really only useful in the current meta against Archimago or Death Speaker decks. And then 2 mana for a Firebolts, which is going to clear board, take out the horse, take out Tawny. Not a bad play. Not a bad play from Rob there. Dom untapping, looking at his sights for a third sight here. Choosing where to draw. He's going to draw a sight again. Looked like an Earth site. He's gonna mirror realm. I don't know what he called for that, but I assume he called desert for some reason. He called desert, not Impenetrable Copse, probably because he wanted the fire threshold for it. Played summons Tawny to the site, plays Dragonets. Dragonets end of turn pings Rob for 1 point of damage. Rob playing his 4th side out. Desert pings Tawny, removes Tawny from the board again. When you're playing against the Druid, every opportunity you have to remove Tawny from the board, the better. You don't want to give the Druid player like free reign to do whatever they want to with the bird. Rob playing what is that? A Swift's no Outback Strider, the beefier minion. I think it's 3 power. Picks up the lance. Yeah, and so Dom was just asking about with the lance, it strikes for 4 currently. Which is a huge threat. I mean, it can make it all the way. The way that the rules work for that card is that you can move uninterrupted until you enter a site with with another unit in there. So he can make it now, currently, if the board state remains unchanged. Like, he could make it all the way to the Dragonets and strike the Dragonets with first strike. Dom playing like a village of some sort, paying 1 for the foot soldier. Leaves him with 3 mana for turn. Which is a tough situation. If I was Dom, I think I would have played back. I would have maybe played that village back, created the token, giving him a defender option. Because then if Rob wanted to attack with the Outback Strider, Dom could defend with the foot soldier. But that's not what he's doing. He has 3 mana left for. He had 3 mana left for turn. He couldn't make use of it past. I think, yeah, projectile from the Dragonets does another point of damage to Rob's avatar. Rob playing a desert again. Can't make use of the Genesis, but now has 5 mana as mana pool. Is set up pretty well for the next turn to start tapping for an additional spell site with his sorcerer. And then Rob choosing to just attack in to the desert for 4 points. So he's going to strike for 4 points, and then he's going to threaten there with a 3 power body, and then play a Manticore, which again is another huge threat for 5. Dom's turn. Starting out here, puts him in a tough position. He can't trade his Dragonets with the Outback Strider very well, even if he wanted to, just because the mana core is there. It could defend. It could defend and deny him the ability to do a trade at all. He's playing a step on his back row, and then he's paying 2 for a common sense. And a common sense for a bury, 3 mana remaining, he's going to bury the Manticore. A very smart move. A very good play there to deal with that threat. Now with the Manticore removed, if he wants to, he has the option to trade the Dragonets with the Strider. And if I was playing the game, I would probably make that trade. I think I'd be comfortable with that to clear board. At that point, you still have board advantage at the moment, just with the foot soldier and Tawny. Yeah, he's gonna do that trade, and then attack in for 2, and then pass turn. I think optimally it might be a little bit better just to maybe fly attack Tawny diagonally onto the funeral pyre just to spread out your minions a little bit more. But that's open for debate. I think just in general, the more you can spread out your minions is usually better. There are a lot of threats in the game with clumping onto sites. There are also a lot of threats if you try to spread out too. So you kind of pick your poison. Rob is playing Siege Giant and then passing turn. So Siege Giant responding to the Foot Soldier and Tawny. And again, I think a little more advantageous if maybe if Dom had split his minions and sent Tawny to the funeral pyre instead. Dom opting to just move Tawny and then pass turn. So that's not a great turn for him. He didn't have a play with 5 mana. I mean, we know he has that vampire in hand. I think the problem is that he's caught on threshold at that point. So he's running 3 thresholds in his deck, and he does not have an air threshold at the moment. So I don't know what his plan is. I don't know if he's going to try to go fishing for sites to try to find that air threshold, just because the vampire is a big threat, and it almost always gives you at least 4 health before it dies. Rob attacking with the Siege Giant, and Dom choosing to block it with the Foot Soldier. Rob also had played out that Saracen Scout on his turn. So play passed back to Dom. The board now currently controlled by Rob. He's got that Siege Giant running amok, and he's got that Saracen Scout. Tawny should be untapped. I'm assuming they'll figure that out. They'll figure that out during his turn here. But yeah, Dominic needs to come up with some response here to the threats that are now kind of at his door. Tawny unable to defend. So we're going to start seeing 4 points coming in per turn from that Siege Giant, unless he can deal with it. Dom flying in Tawny into the Saracen Scout for a point of damage, pinging, then playing a Desert to ping it for another 1, and then resummon Tawny. So that's some classic synergy with Druid play. And Tawny kind of juggling the bird like that, being able to get your damage in with it, and then immediately getting the value back by resummoning it for free. Rob playing a Violent again to remove Tawny from the board, and immediately just put pressure back on the board with another body again. And here we start attacking for 4 points in. And then passing turn. Dom pulling the Ripcord, flipping Druid to get Brune. I think he just like was getting nervous. I think he wanted a body on board, and he doesn't have a play. He has six mana, and he didn't have a play. He had to pass. So not great. Like he hasn't really been hitting his he hasn't been hitting curve at all with his spells, which is going to be unfortunate here. Rob attacking for 4. He's got a Phoenix on the board, which is just super scary. Attacking in with 2 more points with the Violent. Rob tapping for another sight. I think he was asking if he had drawn an extra card or not. I think he from observing a couple of his games, I think Rob doesn't always play, I guess, necessarily like the cleanest in terms of making sure all of his actions are tapped. Dom playing Fields Camelon, which is a good sight to catch at this point in the game. It removes a lot of Rob's threats. He's obviously choosing to keep the Phoenix. I think the Phoenix is probably the scariest one on there. It is the hardest one for Dom to deal with, assuming that most of Dom's removal is going to be like fire damage spells. He had one berry that he fished for. I don't know if he has another in the deck. I'm not sure what the composition, what the elemental composition of Dominic's deck is. It's like it's 3 colors. Obviously, since he has that the vampire in there, so he's running fire, earth, air. I mean, it's possible he has an earthquake. It's possible he has an earthquake in there. It's possible he has another berry. Air removal, I'm not sure on what he would be playing. I mean, if he had a lightning bolt, that's still not enough on its own to take care of the Phoenix. As it sits right now, if I mean, the Phoenix has airborne. It can attack. It can attack into any site it wants for 4 points of damage, and Dominic just is not in a position to defend it. Bruin is sitting right there on the back site. Violent dealing 2 damage to the Phoenix. To buff the Phoenix. That is one of the Phoenix's abilities, that it is immune to fire damage, and in fact every point of fire damage it takes adds to its power for the turn. Declaring an attack in to Desert for 6 points of damage, kind of giving Dominic an ultimatum: either defend with Bruin and take Bruin off the table, or go to door. And then Dominic choosing to defend with Bruin and send it to the cemetery. Buys himself another turn, which he can't make use of, and then unfortunately he's going to door on this turn here. So Dom in dire straits. I don't know what would save him at this point. Maybe an earthquake if he top decked it. He's looking at his hand though. It's not looking good. he's drawn a sight for some reason. Probably again fishing for the. He's got 2 Dapperels in his hand. He's probably just fishing in vain for that air threshold to get one out to defend, and not seeing it. So a good game. It's just like Dominic's deck. I think it just stalled out a little too much. Just he couldn't catch that splash threshold that he wanted. So Rob takes the game, and we'll move on to round 5.